I'm excited for this
Listen,
episode.
this episode, we're talking about gaslighting. Gaslighting yourself to success, babes.
Let me tell ya, it's possible. You can force your brain to believe in yourself and believe in your future. And I am so excited to talk about it because this shit works.
Welcome to the Aligned and Divine podcast. I'm your host, Mercedes Smith.
And I'm your host, Olivia Thomas. We created this podcast to have a safe space for you to share, connect, relate, and ultimately to grow.
The goal of this podcast is to share with you the strategy and mindset necessary to align with your highest self so you can massively uplevel your business, your relationships, your self-concept, and step into your innate divinity to raise the consciousness of the entire planet.
We want you to know that you are always aligned and divine. This is gonna be the #1 podcast. I don't care. We're gaslighting ourselves to success there.
No, literally. Okay, so my biggest thing about this episode is the fact that we're talking about the bridge. Okay, you're right here. You want to be right here. And you're just like, if I'm right here and everything looks like the way it looks and I am who I am right here, how am I going to get to this version of me right here, over there? Because right here feels like right here, but over there feels like way over there.
Mm-hmm.
And so today's episode, we're going to talk about how you're going to bridge between where you are right now and the person and the life that you want that is ahead of you. It seems so far ahead that it might be like it's never going to happen. We're going to talk about that bridge.
The bridge and talking about holding a vision of what you want, right? Seeing your dream reality, seeing your manifestations, making a vision of that, and then gaslighting yourself to believe that it's possible for yourself, which you can do. I promise. We'll give you steps to do it, and how that can help you create your reality and bring your manifestations to you.
Yes. Okay. So first thing about this, okay, what is it? What are we talking about right now? What is the gaslighting yourself to success? Really, we're talking about manifesting, and visualization is the biggest key that we like to use for bridging that gap. And so really what it is it's priming yourself and your environment towards whatever your goal is. That's what it is. Because if you could see it, you can believe it. And if you can believe it, then you know that you can do it. Does that make sense? Like you're able to take actionable steps toward it. And so gaslighting yourself, we do this thing all the time, babe. It's real psychology. Do you know what I mean? It's a little mental illness sometimes where you allow yourself to be manipulated. You allow somebody to like do that to you. Why not do it to yourself? The marketing is constantly trying to manipulate you. The world is constantly trying to manipulate you. Why not manipulate yourself? Huh?
Your beliefs create your reality, right? Your beliefs create your reality. You can change your beliefs. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about that a little bit, how you're changing your beliefs to believe that that is possible for yourself. And yes, love. You just mentioned you see it and then you can believe it and then you bring it.
And then you do it. Yeah.
Something that I learned pretty early on, or I learned a while ago, our brain has to see that it's possible for us to believe that it's possible, right? Like we have to find examples. We have to see that it's possible for us to know that it's possible. An example can be the 4-minute mile, right?
I kid you not. I was like, oh my God, it totally came to my brain right now. I literally was writing in Google right now, first man to run a 4-minute mile.
If you're not familiar with the story, for years, people thought that it was humanly impossible to run a 4-minute mile, right?
Scientists literally were like, it's impossible.
It's impossible. Got it. That's literally not a possibility. One day, someone pushed themselves to the limit, ran a 4-minute mile. And then within weeks, 20 other people ran a 4-minute mile because they knew that it was possible, right? Before that, they didn't think it was possible. They didn't push themselves to it. As soon as they knew that it was possible, then they were able to do it because they knew that they could. right? So why should you gaslight yourself to success? Because your brain needs proof that it's possible.
The why is like your brain needs proof that it's possible so that way you can actually take action towards it and do it.
Yeah.
So a huge part of like why are we doing the visualization stuff is not only does your brain need proof that it's possible, but also we've talked about this in our previous episode about shadow work and the fact that your body, like you on a biological prehistoric standpoint, your body is always wanting to keep you comfortable and keep you safe. And so even reaching your goals is uncomfortable, and it's your brain's gonna be like, this is not safe. And so a huge part of visualization and the methods we're going to share with you today is really about how do I acclimate my spirit, how do I acclimate my body, my nervous system to be open to receiving the life that I want to live, the love that I want to have, and all of the things like this next version of myself. Otherwise you will always subconsciously reject it, like fall back into those self-sabotaging ways. And so you literally cannot afford not to listen to this episode. You cannot afford not to do the things that we're going to show you, because they're honestly things that have helped us. And if it helps you even incrementally, it's going to help you astronomically in the coming years of your life. Right. So we've got the what, we've got the why. So how are we doing the visualization? I love, because you know what? Olivia is the queen of visualizations. Literally, when we started this podcast, I kid you guys not, her and I were literally just thinking about it. We had like we were talking on the phone, like I was walking my dog late one night. She was like, Mercedes, we need to do a podcast. Like our conversations, every conversation that we have is so incredible, so intense. I think it could really benefit other people. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, you're right. Totally didn't know. Like after we got off that phone call, I walk upstairs into my apartment, and like literally I get a little ping, a little text message. She goes, oh my God, like I just thought that this was so cute, because I was like, yeah, let's do it when we were talking about it. And then she literally created our podcast cover our cover. She literally created our podcast cover right then and there. And like all I had done at that point was just been like, yeah, we should do it, why not? She was like, okay, podcast cover, here it is.
I am a big visualization person. I love to see I love to see what I'm trying to manifest and look at it. So then I think it helps me put myself in that reality and see, again, showing our brain that it's possible, right? Mm-hmm. That's a funny example, but actually before we even started this podcast, on my vision board, I have someone talking on a podcast. So I was looking at that on my vision board, imagining myself in that reality of talking on a podcast. And now we literally have a podcast. Just an example of one thing that has come to fruition from my vision boards.
Me too. There are, I'm like realizing I have mine up here too.
Yeah, there's actually so many examples of things on my vision board that have come true. It's I'm gonna do probably a whole series on that.
So I think for me, when I think of like visualizations, and I think we talked about this in our second episode, I also think of like the reticular activating system by Mr. Les Brown, and how not only is it taking something from in your brain space and you're finally getting it out of your brain and into the world, even if it's something as simple as just writing it down, like that is an act of visualization, or even putting it like on making a little Canva vision board, whatever it may be. Like you're just taking it out of your brain, you're putting it into the physical world. That is literally manifesting. Taking it from one place into another place, one dimension into another dimension, is an act of manifesting. And that is the first step into bringing it into your reality. But I think other than that, I think of Les Brown talking about the reticular activating system and how it literally I'm subconsciously priming myself to seek that out. Mm-hmm. And so once I write it down, or once I create that visual, once I'm like in that visual energy and I'm like on the same plane as that, whatever it is that I want, I'm subconsciously training myself to seek it out everywhere that I go, and I will find it, because seek and you shall find.
Big fan of a Canva vision board, big fan of a Pinterest vision board. I'm a big fan of physical vision board if you want to do that too. I go more digital because I just am constantly changing it and adding things on and whatnot, but do whatever feels best for you. There's no perfect way and every way works, but finding some way that you can make a vision board and finding examples of things that you want. So again, talking about our brain loves to see proof that it's possible. So finding examples of things that you want and constantly looking at them, your brain is going to start thinking, this is how you're gaslighting yourself. Your brain is going to start thinking, oh, okay, it's actually not that hard. Like here's a clear example of exactly what you want. And if you are putting yourself and envisioning yourself having that, your brain, it's starting to convince your brain more and more that it's possible for you. A term for finding an example of what you want, maybe a person that has your dream life, is sometimes called a mirror. So looking at an example of what you want, and something to just touch on that is sometimes when people see someone else that has what they want, there's a little bit of jealousy or a little bit of enviousness that comes up. And I was just talking to a client yesterday about that. She asked me, it's like, how can I, sometimes when I see other people getting manifestations or having what I want, I feel a little bit envious or a little bit jealous. I'm like, okay, so glad you just asked that, because I have the perfect answer, in my opinion. I heard one time the universe will show you, if you're seeing someone else that has what you want, it's the universe literally just showing you that it's possible for you also. You would not even be able to see it if it wasn't in your scope of reality. And so the fact that you are seeing it, the universe is just showing you that it's possible for yourself too. So trying to kind of transmute that jealousy and enviousness to gratitude and being like, oh, okay, if I'm seeing that, that means it's coming to me also. And gratitude and being grateful that you are able to see an example of that, so you can envision yourself living that life also.
Yes. Oh my God. And like going into the mirrors, the first thing that I think about is like social media. So people always want to talk smack about social media. And as a social media marketer myself, I can tell you that social media is literally the digital example of your physical life, in the sense that you control it. Right. And so like the algorithm on TikTok is based on you, your thoughts, how you engage with the platform, the different things that you comment on, things like that. And so if you see a video and you just keep scrolling past it, you completely ignore it, algorithm's never going to show you that fucking video again.
Right.
It's going to say, oh, she doesn't care about this. Next thing. That's how the universe works. But if you engage with it, you engage with the video, you stay there, you watch the video for as long as possible, you like it, you comment on it, you engage with it, you send it to somebody else, the algorithm goes, oh, she likes this type of content. Not only am I going to send her more people like this. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say exactly that, but also the reverse of, if you're engaging and watching and commenting pissed off things on, so if there's a video you don't like and you're watching it, engaging in it, or commenting some smack or some hate comments on it, the universe doesn't see good or bad. The algorithm doesn't see good or bad. It's just going to continue to give you more of what you are engaging in a positive way or a negative way.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important that you're careful with where you're putting your attention. And that's the act of visualization, is in that mirror aspect, right? So if I'm making sure that like the things that I'm engaging with on my social media are things that I want to mirror in my life. So when I see some people that I admire, that I'm like, oh, this woman, I saw like there's this one girl right now I'm like obsessed with, that has a social media agency, or she has a marketing agency that I'm just like literally obsessed with. And I'm like, I want to be her when I grow up. Like, I love the way that she runs her agency. I love the way that she promotes herself. I love all of these different aspects. And one side of me could flare up and be like in my ego and be like, oh, I wish that I had that. Or, I want to be jealous of her situation because I'm just not there yet. Or the other side could be like, which is what I follow her for, is like, oh, if she can do it, so can I. She's the same age as me. If not, I think she's a year younger than me, but she's the same age as me. She has the same mindset as me, basically. And hearing more and more about her story, I'm like, oh, we have a lot of similarities. And she keeps coming on my For You page. She keeps being in my sphere of you know, my reality. She doesn't know me at all, I'm sure, but like I'm like, oh, I want to be like her. This is what I want to do. And now I'm looking at her content thinking this is aspirational. Now I don't just consume her content. I make sure that I'm also creating. But the point of a mirror is that it's showing me that it's possible and it's encouraging. The second that it gets to the point that I'm feeling envious, it's not about her, it's about me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so it's always keeping it on like, okay, bringing it back to the gratitude aspect, bringing it back to like, if I see this, that means it's possible for me. I just have to take it one step at a time. And you can get really, really clear on what you want and visualizing, having that vision board, writing things down, and then finding examples of it in the world that you want to emulate or even like play off of. All of those things make sure that you are super clear on your mission, super clear on what your goals are, and with a very clear mind and a clear clear vision of what you want, you're able to make tangible, actionable steps towards achieving that. That's why we always say like manifesting isn't just, again, like it's not like it's just some magical thing that happens. It's you declaring what you want, getting a visual about it, getting having some type of mirror, sometimes type of visualization about it to bridge that gap, and then taking action towards it. And whether it happens in a month or it happens in a day or it happens in 10 years, it happens.
Right. You're moving towards it. And one of my favorite mantras, quotes, whatever, is what you focus on expands.
Yeah.
Right. So if you are having a vision or you're looking at your vision boards or you're writing down, I'm so grateful that I got XYZ, whatever you are focusing on will be expanding. So that's why it's again, it's so important to have a vision of what you're wanting and what you're trying to manifest and what you're trying to call into this reality and focusing on that, right? Because what you focus on expands. So you can pick things that you actually enjoy looking at and imagining and feeling the feelings of already having it. That is going to draw it to you.
And this also bleeds me too, because it's not just vision boards, it's not just social media, it's not just, you know, even writing it down. But another way that I like to visualize, because the whole point of it is like getting into that vibrational match of whatever it is that you're looking for and getting acclimated, getting your brain acclimated to that, is I like to go to places and like put myself in experiences that are an energetic match. So I was telling Olivia this like a couple days ago, but I remember when I think I was like 18 or 19 years old, and like I had this job and I was really excited about the job, but I went to this area that like was super bougie. If you're in like the South Bay, in San Jose area, there's this like shopping mall called Valley Fair, and right across the Valley Fair, there's this really super fancy bougie spot called Santana Row. And there's like all of these different restaurants, and there's all of these different like shopping places. They're all like super expensive. Like you see this like they have like apartments and condos up there, but they also have like a hotel. And in front of this hotel, there's literally like you walk down the street in Santana Row, there's Lamborghinis, there's Maseratis, there's like
Porsches,
all Porsches, like everything that you can think of. Like it's bougie, love it.
Love it.
But one of the ways that I try to acclimate myself is like when I was like 18 or 19 years old, I like loved this like restaurant that was there. And like I would always see people eat there when I was walking past to like go to Valley Fair, to be honest. And I'd be like, oh my God, there's like it's so good there. But the food was expensive at the time. Like I couldn't afford to eat there. I couldn't even afford one meal. Like I would have spent $100 on a meal and I couldn't afford that at the time. And so what I would do was I would go to like their happy hour and eat the appetizers during their happy hour. And like just be in that environment, be in that atmosphere with fresh face of makeup, simple like outfit. And I would just feel good being there and being in that energy and that environment. Another way that I like to do that is I like to like drive through rich neighborhoods.
Yeah. I love doing that.
Doing going to open houses in rich neighborhoods, or test driving the car that you want, your dream car. Even if you can afford it right now, like go test drive it.
Mm-hmm.
See what it is. I walked into Tesla and I was like, I mean, I didn't test drive it when I walked in because they didn't have it available and they were closing. But like I walked in and I was like talking to the person of like, what is the process of getting a Tesla? Can I customize it? Like I was having a whole joyous conversation and like the person was really sweet about it too. They weren't being like, this girl's not gonna buy a Tesla. They were just like, yeah, absolutely. Let me help you. And it was such a cool experience because I was like, oh yeah, okay, like it's easy. All I have to do is just walk in and buy my little Tesla and like that's fine.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, those are other ways that I feel like you're acclimating yourself, you're getting on that energetic plane, and then you're visualizing it. Like all of those things is they help you bridge the gap.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that next version of you can feel so far away that you have no connection to her. And if you don't have any type of connection, it's always going to be so far out of your reach.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to build the connection little by little. And you have to see that it's possible for yourself. So that way your brain is like, oh, it's possible. Think we could do it.
Mm-hmm. Our second episode number 2, is asking for what you want. And this definitely it goes in line with that, because for this, when you're visualizing, let yourself visualize what you actually want, right? Let yourself dream big and put that amazing, beautiful house on your vision board, or let yourself, visualize yourself making tons of money, and just letting yourself and letting your brain get more comfortable with the idea of having those. Right now, it might feel like outrageously large manifestations, but if you are visualizing that every day or however often, it starts to get more and more comfortable. So allowing yourself to ask for what you want, and putting things on your vision board that are things that you actually really deep down want, is a really important part. Because if you're not putting down what you actually want, if you're not visualizing it, you're not putting it on your vision board, then how is the universe gonna give it to you? If the universe is like, you're not even willing to ask for it, why would I give it to you?
Literally. Yeah.
So that's an important part too, is dreaming big, at allowing yourself to ask for what you want, and manifest and hope for what you actually want.
I'm just thinking back, and if you're listening to this right now, like maybe you're in this space, but I'm thinking back to my space of like when I was in the height of my like transformation journey and like my spiritual awareness and like really getting into a little bit more of like raising my self-concept and being really intentional about that time. I just remember thinking like I couldn't visualize. Like I couldn't visualize the future. I couldn't plan for what I was going to do next week because I couldn't see that far ahead in my future, like literally. Because what really helps me, because I moved to Dallas and I never been to Texas when I moved here. Like the day that I moved here was the first time I ever stepped foot into Texas. And so one thing that really helped me was journaling and really sitting in the feeling, because that was what was important to me. How do I feel? Like, so it's not always like, okay, you want a new home, and so you're like gonna put up pictures of the home, or you're gonna like find like that exact Zillow listing that you're wanting to, visualize. Sometimes it's, how does it feel when you're in the home? Do you feel safe? Do you feel secure? Do you feel like you have, an anchor on this earth and you have a safe space? What is the feeling that is attached to whatever it is that you want? So for me, when I came to Dallas, it was just a feeling of freedom, a feeling of like, I was just like, I know that when I moved, it was going to be like quiet and silent, and I was going to feel peace at just being alone and being with my own thoughts and being able to grieve outwardly without worrying about how it affects other people, because I was alone. And I knew that I needed that time. And so even though I couldn't visualize exactly like what my place would look like or where exactly I was going to live or anything like that, I sat in that feeling and I journaled about the feeling that I was chasing, so I could make sure that when I got that feeling, I knew that I had reached that goal. Yeah, those are the things that really, really helped me. And I also like I would fall asleep with Onyx to the Dallas skyline. Like lo-fi whatever, or like rain, whatever it is, like the live things. I would
Yeah.
fall asleep to those things because I'm like, I've never been there before, but I know that those are things that'll help me. So those are like just some of the ways that you can incorporate visualization exercises into your manifestation journey. And all of these things again are here they're helping you with your nervous system. They're helping you get out of your comfort zone. They're really helping you. They're tools that you can use along your journey of becoming the person that you want to be and living the life that you want to live. And my biggest advice to you, especially if you're just beginning this journey, is don't overwhelm yourself with all of this information. Just start little thing at a time. Start with one thing at a time. And for me, the easiest one was the visualization. Once I was able to visualize, you were able to take action. You're able to do all of the other things that are there. I was thinking of Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People right here. And one of the first habits, I can't remember if it was 1 or 2, is begin with the end in mind, because that's going to help you stay in alignment with your goals, stay in alignment. Like you can't do that if you don't even know where the end is, like what you're wanting at the end, and visualizing that end goal is really, really important.
Yeah. And it can be fun. Yeah, just like what
Yeah.
Mercedes just said, don't overwhelm yourself. If it ever does feel overwhelming, try to maybe take a step back, maybe try to do things when whether it be trying things to manifest or things to grow or whatever, do things that feel good to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's important to get out of your comfort zone, but it doesn't have to always be so hard. It's okay to take a break, but and visualizing and just getting in that space of visualizing what you want can be like a really fun
Yeah.
exercise. I love doing that. Um, and I love looking at my vision board. I do, like I mentioned, mostly digital vision boards on Pinterest, or I make a vision board on Canva and I look at it while I'm on my walk. I usually walk on the treadmill, so I prop up my phone. I look like probably like a psycho. I'm like really hoping no one's looking at what I'm looking at. I put my screen on low, and I love, like I'm listening to my music. I'm visualizing, I'm seeing my manifestations, and I'm just like letting myself feel what it would feel like if I got it, and putting myself in that high vibe state. And it's actually so fun. And the amount of things that have literally come to my reality that were on my vision board is insane. So highly recommend trying it. And it starts getting really, really fun when you're like, oh, this stuff actually works.
Yeah. This stuff actually works. It's super fun. And being in that fun energy, so powerful.
So
Make life
powerful.
fun. It's literally a video game, babes. We're literally in a video game. So make it fun. And I think that's it for this episode. So thank you so much for taking a listen. If you enjoyed this episode, please do us a favor, leave us a review. They're so, so, so important, especially when you're just starting a podcast. And we
Yes.
would really appreciate that. We definitely want to hear your feedback as well. If you're listening to this on Spotify, there's a wee bit of a poll. If you're on our Spotify page and you're on this episode, there's like a little poll down there that you can like
Answer.
engage with, and we would love to hear from you on that end. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please give us a subscribe and a like, and leave a comment on what you enjoyed most about this episode, or even what you want to hear in future episodes.
Yes. Thank you so, so much. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon.
See ya on the next one.
Yeah.
You got to do it now because we do it like